Alrighty, so as I was walking around, I saw some really interesting strategies, and I heard a lot of similar things, but your papers looked really different. So I wanted you to get a chance to see some of the other groups and what they came up with. So I'm going to put some papers up on the board, and I just want you to take a second to think about, what was that person doing? Jump inside their brain. If you can do it. All right, here was Ashley's group. This is what they came up with. Turn and talk with a neighbor. What's going on in their group? What'd they do?
O yo lo hice de diferente manera. Puse 6 ahí.
Okay. Where did the 2 groups of 3 come from? The 6. What in the problem tells us to decompose it into 2?
So you say, so they have 6.
We are. So what does it look like their answer and stuff? 6. Diego has 6.
So 1 times 6
Times. Do we see 2 or 1? Where did they do 2? How did they use 2? 2 times 3. Is that the same as 2 times as many as Elmer has? Super focus. All right, somebody that was not in Ashley's group, tell me what was going on with what they were doing. What do you think? Kayla,
They were
speak nice and loud, please.
they were showing how much Elmer has, but it never shows on there how much. They weren't like really answering the question as well because they were showing how much Elmer has.
Okay, so where does it show how much Elmer has, Kayla? Because they've got a couple different things going on.
In the 2 groups of 3.
The 2 groups of 3 represent what Elmer has. What about what's on the other side of the equal sign? What did they draw? 6. How many groups? 1 group of 6. Let's go back to the problem. Which of those do you think goes with the problem? The 2 groups of 3 or the 1 group of 6 for Elmer? Why, yes, Dib?
Because we already knew that Elmer had 6, so I think what they did, they broke it apart in 2 times 3 to make 6, and then when they put the equal sign, it was 6, but it was basically they already had the answer. Just
Sure.
they did wrong.
I see what you're saying. So they're like decomposed that 6. They just showed another way to make it. Let's think about this though, because how many groups do they have? They had 1 group of 6, but they also did what? 2 groups. Let's go back in the problem. Where might they have gotten that 2 from? Elmer, what do you think?
From the where it says
Diego has 2 times as many. 2 times as many as who? As Elmer. So does that 2 groups of 3 show that Diego has 2 times as many as Elmer? What would they need to do then, do you think? Turn and talk with a neighbor. How could they show what Diego has? Super focus. All right, so what would Ashley's group need to do then to kind of get on track and figure out how many Diego has? Addie.
They need to add 1 times 6 and 2 times 3 to get their answer.
Oh, I see what you're saying. They would put them all together. But then if they put all those pictures together, would they still have equal groups? So how would they make it equal groups? What do you think, Addie? How would they make their groups equal? Because how many did Elmer have? 6. How many are in a group? 6. So how many would they have to have in each of those groups, Addie? In each of those 2 groups? How How many cards did Elmer have, Addie? He had 6. Diego had twice as many, right? Two times as many as what Diego had. So how many would he have to put in his 2 groups? 6 in each of those groups, right? So if there were 2 groups of 6, then how many cards would Diego have? 12. Okay, so I saw some people that got there. We're gonna look at Emma's group, and they did it on their dry erase board. They had gotten a chance to. Look at that KWR. Turn and talk with each other. What did Emma's group do? They did. Let's look at
Before they did like 2 separate groups. Y'all did 2, y'all did 6 on one side, you did 2 groups. But you did it in a line, array. They like a array, yeah. 6, but Emma was actually one array. They were like they made the numbers smaller.
Are you talking about the right side? Where there were, you see the 3 groups? But then,
We did 4 times. I know what you did. You multiplied the 2 times, and then the table means 12 because it's like.
that's how we got working out. We got to talk through. Why would that be? Let's think back to the problem. Where do we know it's
6 times 2.
Are you in
how many cards? 6.
I see what it is. I know what that is. I did 4 times 6. 12. 2 2 groups of
kind of confusing?
I see. Okay. Super focus. All right, tell me about Emma's group strategy then. They had a lot of stuff going on. Right.
They did an array.
They used an array. Okay, are you looking, this one right here?
Yes.
Okay, tell us about their array.
They did array. They did two rows. And then,
Oh, remember, rows are this way. They have 2 of those?
they have 6 rows.
6 rows, and how many columns?
2.
Why? Why would they do that?
Because on the problem it said twice as 2 times.
2 times as many. Let's talk about that twice real quick, because I know Miss Elmore said it, and I heard Brandon say it when he read. Twice and 2 times. Why are we using those together? Are they the same? Think about when we hear twice, that means what? Twice. Double, and double means 2, right? We double. Okay. So we have these 6 columns and 6 rows and 2 columns. Okay, right. And so tell me, how does that connect back to the problem?
And then they did 2 times 6 again, and then they did 4 groups. 3 groups of 4 each.
Oh, hold on to that for just a second. Let's look at this real quick for a second. So you said that they had 2 groups with 6?
So they had 3 groups.
3 groups.
They had 3 groups with 4 each. They did.
Where are you, which one are you looking at?
Well, I saw.
Are you looking at the other model, or are you looking at what they wrote in their equation? In their equation, you see the 4 plus 4 plus 4. What do you think that was for?
Because there's 4, they did 4 times 3. There's 3.
Let's think about it. Are there 4 groups in this problem? Do we have 4 groups somewhere? Do we have 3 groups somewhere? What does it look like? Where do they get those 4s from? Justin? They were, did they decompose? But did they make 3 groups somewhere? Yeah, there was just their strategy to help them add all those 2s. Did you see the 2s there, Bray? You see all the 2s that they had next to their array? And I think they were just doing that with when they were adding to help them out a little bit. But let's go back to this idea of 2 groups of 6, because did it say groups in the problem we learned today? Or did it say any of these other words? Remember yesterday we talked about sometimes groups could be packages, plates, boxes, shelves. Did you hear any of those words today? So where did 2 groups come from? Turn and talk with your neighbor. Where are we getting 2 groups from? They doubled what? Okay, so that 6 was represented what? Elmer's. So if we were to give a statement about Elmer's, how many groups did Elmer have?
Time.
Did he have 2 groups of groups? He had 1 group of 6 cards. 1 group of 6 cards is how many cards? He had 6 cards altogether. But how many did Diego have? Twice or 2 times as many. So how many did Elmer have? 6. But Diego had Elmer's and Elmer's again, the 6 and the 6 together, right? To get into groups. Super focus. So where are we getting groups from? This is new. We haven't talked about this yet. Ashley. From the 2 times as many. Some of you were telling me that earlier. Because when we look at a multiplication equation, actually let's look, Emma, they already have it. Look up here, do you see where they wrote their equation? How do you say that?
2
Times 6. Or, I heard some people say it, some people said 2 times 6, but we could also say 2 groups of 6. So let's talk about Elmer's group. Where is Elmer's group in their model without a red? Kayla. It does. How many does Elmer have?
6.
Where do you see 6 up there in their model? Look at this, right? Where do you see 6? In the rows. There are 6 rows, right? And how many columns are there? 2. How many of those columns represent Elmer's cards?
1.
Just one of them, right? One of these groups of 6 equals Elmer's. One group of 6 equals what? 6. That's how many Elmer has. But Diego has how many? 2 times as many. So he has Elmer's group 2 times 6 plus 6, or 2 times 6 equals 12. So we're hearing groups in here, even though we're saying times? All right, I'm going to hold off on their other model because I've got a challenge for you. Are you ready? This is the second part of your task. So Mrs. Lovelace, she found these pieces, and I want to see if you all can show me, because pretty much everybody had some form of this. People built it with tiles, people drew it, but I didn't see anybody that used any models with pieces that look like this. So I'm going to challenge you. I want to see if you can represent how many cards that Elmer has and Diego has with these pieces. I also have some cards in here that I want to see if you can fill out for me what should be going in these blanks. Blank times as many as blank equals blank. See if we can figure that out, because remember we said we saw that word times come up a lot. We want to relate that back to our problem. Are you ready? So you're going to leave your other tiles, you're going to put them back in your bucket, and I want you to use these pieces now. And oh, I forgot to tell you, bonus, you get to write on these. Dry erase, you can write things on these. You ready? Go.